This is Pastor Byron from Life Point Church in Lexington, North Carolina. I heard something in the news a few weeks ago that captured my attention. A woman in West Palm Beach, Florida, died alone at the age of 71. The coroner's report was tragic. Cause of death, malnutrition. This woman, at the time of her death, weighed 50 pounds. The investigators, law enforcement officers who found her, said that the house where she lived was a veritable pig pen. That was their words. One seasoned inspector declared that he had never seen a residence in greater disarray. This woman had, to the best of anyone's recollection, at least 10 years and perhaps longer, had begged for food at the back door of her neighbors. She would go to Salvation Army to get her clothes. She would go to food shelters to get food. From all outward appearances, she was a penniless recluse. But such was not the case. As the officers going through some of the jumble, by accident, they happened to come across a box, and they opened the box, and inside were 2 keys. The 2 keys led the officers to 2 local banks who identified the keys as keys to safe deposit boxes. At the first bank, when they opened the safe deposit box, they found inside more than 500 stock certificates. Those stock certificates were valued at more than $3 million. Also in the box was a large amount of cash, when counted, came to $200,000. They went on to the second bank with the second key. Again, safe deposit box. They opened the safe deposit box at the second bank. Inside was only cash. Only $900,000 cash. This woman was a multimillionaire, and yet she died a victim of starvation in a house that had been condemned by the city and was falling in all around her. We need to think of how we use our own resources, how possessive we may be, whether or not we have a tendency to hoard, to hold on to, rather than investing in the lives of other people. The Apostle Paul said to the church at Corinth, he said, since you excel in so many ways, I want you to also excel in this gracious generosity. I'm not commanding you to do this, but I'm testing you. Testing how genuine your love is by comparing it with the eagerness of the other churches. The church at Corinth was a large church filled with people who had every one of the spiritual gifts. They were people of wisdom. They were well educated. The majority believed in Jesus Christ as their own personal Savior. And Paul urged them to be investors in people. We have lived 14 months in this COVID-19 pandemic. No one had any idea that this virus was going to be so vicious, so uncontrollable for such a long period of time before a vaccine could be found. Millions of people who died. Now we have a vaccine. Almost 50% of the population in America of adults have had their vaccine. We're slowly coming out of this dangerous period of time and returning to live our lives. We're discovering as we return, many things have changed. What was once normal may, in many areas, never be normal again. And many people have a great fear of the unknown, of what has changed, what will return, what will not. The uncertainty of what is ahead. May I remind you, God has a plan. God has a purpose for every one of us. There's not anything that is happening in our lives now or that was happening 14 months ago that God was not already aware. This woman in Palm Beach, Florida, multimillionaire, she lived as a pauper. Many of us as Christians, the blessings that God has promised to us, we live and behave and act as though we are doing without any of them. Are you trusting in God? Do you have a strong faith in Him? Are you encouraged? Are you optimistic? Trust God. He will not let you down. Father, I thank you for the promises of your word. I thank you for your faithfulness and your never-ending love for us.